flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
In the corner. Mrs. Boyce. Here. Mr. Bogle.
Here.
Mrs. Burns. Here. Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mrs. McBride.
Here.
Ms. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here.
All right, so this is a special meeting that we called this evening, but prior to us starting, before we start the special meeting, we had an executive session at the end of last month's board meeting, regular meeting on February the 26th. We had it directly after the meeting that ended at 7:38, and we went over personnel. We also had executive meeting on Monday, this past Monday, March the 4th, from 5:05 to 5:38, also discussing personnel. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the special meeting. Do we have any comments from residents on agenda items? And there are none in the audience, so we're going to move right along to personnel.
All right. We have three under employment, 3.11, Kendra Habib, Evergreen Elementary School, paraprofessional. 3.12, Michael Kohlberg as District Transportation and Safety Coordinator. And 3.13, Nicole Burkhart, and that's tutoring at Ramsey, after-school tutoring. 3.2, we have two leaves of absence as listed. 3.3 are supplementals or for sports, spring sports that just started Monday, so we wanted to get them on the agenda as well. And 3.4, two volunteers as listed.
And we need a second.
John,
we can
second.
discuss. All right, discussion.
The supplementals for the sports, I know they just started Monday, but isn't this sort of late to keep adding people? And I don't know how many do we have now? Because I feel like there's been a lot of coaches going by, and like I feel like the fourth baseball one that I've seen.
Yeah, there's slots, so if there's two assistant coaches, we'll fill those. We're not paying any more than that, so if we have two slots, we'll fill those.
Okay.
If that's what you mean. And then there could be volunteer coaches as well that they add
Well,
on.
these don't have rates to them,
Yeah.
so. I mean,
So they would be slots that needed to be filled.
and so especially the two that are still pending documentation, that means they can't be working yet.
Right.
So it's not prorated for how many weeks of the season that they're gonna miss because they have to have their documentation before to do this.
My guess is they're going to get that in this week. She just didn't have it today.
So there are two asterisks by Kendra Habib. Is that also, those two are also for pending documentation?
Yes.
Yes.
But they're not currently the ones that are pending documentation yet?
no,
Okay,
no.
okay, all right. So I guess what Donna was saying, so if they're pending documentation and they've already started,
When are they, yeah, so they started the sport pending documentation, I don't know how long it's gonna be, and then, okay. Haven't we done is this 3 more track coaches?
I'm just gonna step in here, John, real quick. Sometimes they put down that they're going to be helping, and then they don't, because they realize how much time that it's
That's
taking.
right.
Am I correct, John?
Exactly.
So there were other ones that we may have approved, but don't we have to rescind the other ones before we put new ones on?
We're not sure how many spots were filled, like Dr. Rossi said. We don't know if every spot was filled.
Every spot will be, we're not going to leave. If there are slots available, we try to, Dawn and Andrew will try to fill those so we have the supervision there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these have to be additional ones to what we had before. Okay. This goes back to what Jack has asked more than once. We really need to address the whole supplemental thing. We have to, we keep saying that, don't we, Jack? A what? Never? Not today. No, he's right. No, yeah.
Because there are a lot of supplementals too, which adds to it.
Yes.
There's a ton. Right.
Yeah. So we need to look at the rate, and we also need to, I like the whole comprehensive, how many do we have? How many do we have by sports? How many do we have by sports that are by how many humans we have that participate
We
in
can get
lots of
that.
sports, in
Yeah.
all activities,
We can get
right?
that. We get a list of sports.
I think
Yeah.
we need to
break it
That
down.
needs to be on our bigger, Leslie, should that not, maybe we do that on the, what's that, the personnel committee, what's the new name of that?
Oh, for HR committee.
That's probably a good thing to first do on the HR committee.
Well, I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
because you're on the athletic committee, so the supplements, and I just want to have a better idea of how it works. So if there are openings and they haven't been filled, do we post these again, or how is that done? Okay, okay.
John, let me ask you a question since you do track. You have the runners, you have the high jumps, you have the pole vault, you have the different ones, and you have specific coaches for each of these, correct? So that's why you're gonna see a lot of track. And it's gonna say track, but it's not gonna say high jump, it's not gonna say pole vault, it's not gonna say.
Shot put,
We still don't
javelin.
specifically have an assistant coach who is skilled in the throws.
Correct.
So the specialties.
It would be nice to see that
The
though.
field events.
We'll have that, we can get.
So if anybody knows
Yeah, because
someone
he's
who
doing
knows
it,
how
so
to
he
do
knows.
throws,
But for the rest of us, it'd be nice to see that.
Maurice Washington?
he's not with
He's
us.
done.
Couldn't do it.
That is right. If we approved them and then they're not going to do it,
You
then
have to rescind, but
Rescind.
what Dr. Rossi is saying is that
Right.
these must be additional slots, so,
it just would be nice to see it.
We can get that.
yeah. Okay.
Well, I will say there was some point where we were discussing the amounts of supplementals and changing some of that around too. So, after we get things settled this month, we can have a meeting with Dr. Rossi and the athletic committee and go over everything if that works.
This is on our radar to address.
Yeah.
So not only athletics, but really it's all.
Well, I think it's also,
supplementals.
and
All
part of the reason
supplementals.
why I look at that is, being the former band parent, right? I have to say that they have held the vast majority of all their extra people that they pay for themselves. Those kids pay for those extra people out of their own pockets. And so I always sit there and say, what I have all these kids in band who have to fund themselves versus all these sports that are getting, we just need to be equitable across the activities. Because I think when I did that analysis a year or so ago, sports gets 80, 85, 90% of the supplemental budgets compared to the arts.
Then we also have hockey, ice hockey, and they do their own thing, separate
They're a
from.
club, right?
We do give them a stipend or.
We do get a stipend.
Yeah,
I think it is.
robotics and
Yeah.
esports and,
It would be nice
But
to
I think we
see
need to
just
have
that
a
in general.
comprehensive look.
Consistency, yes.
And we need a comprehensive look at all these.
Of all extracurriculars, like.
Yes, all
Yes,
extracurriculars.
yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
and we probably need to make sure we work on that and do that before next year, school year.
Yes.
So since we're discussing this, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Like our bowlers, they're going to states. Now, I know they did a GoFundMe instead of, I guess, coming to us. So what would it take, I don't know where they stand right now, to use the van? If they had, someone on the insurance that they could drive the vans, because I think there's 10 kids on the bowling team. I don't know, but I feel bad that they're representing Gateway, which I always say, and we're not doing anything to support them.
Yeah.
It's just
I think we just need
Yeah.
to figure out all those groups,
Right,
bowling, whatever that else is,
Right.
that are incurring some of their own costs
correct.
to do that. And there's a cost for the kids to participate for some activities, but not for others.
Yeah. It has to be
But how do
consistent.
we, we just have to be consistent. I think understand where those gaps are, because I do think we have some gaps.
So when is the championship for bowling?
Next week,
Next week?
yes.
And is it possible that their advisor could use the school van if they're added to?
We have to check and get the license, insurance.
I think there's too many of them that they won't fit in the school van.
Oh,
I know there's a 10-passenger one.
Well, how many are in the bowling league?
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I had a picture. It would be tight, you're right. It'd probably be tight. There was 2 adults in the picture. Yeah, there's 2.
Okay, so then their advisor just makes arrangements for transportation for them. Where are they going?
It's great.
Oh, so they gotta drive.
That's a bit of a drive.
See, then I know our history, Scranton, our history team, when they went to Scranton, and Mr. Wheeland, they drove the van,
Now, when they go to Scranton, are they staying over?
not the bowlers.
Not the bowlers are driving back and forth? Wow,
I understand.
it's a little bit of a
Shouldn't
drive.
overstate it either.
Handle all of that. Like, do we feel comfortable sending our kids? I mean, in my mind, we send the bus. You know, like, I just don't know if we feel
Absolutely.
comfortable just letting anyone drive them.
Yeah,
Or what the policy is.
We'll have to look at that.
Yeah. We probably need to look at that soon.
Yeah.
So I just brought it up because I know that,
And we don't want to put anyone at risk
Yeah.
of feeling the pressure of, just my opinion, feeling the pressure of having to drive all the way to
Right.
Scranton,
Yeah.
compete, and then turn around and drive back. I just think that is a lot, and that's unfair to whoever that person is that's doing that drive.
you know what, too?
Basketball's going to Mechanicsburg on Friday. They're getting a charter though. It's 3 hours or so. So
Yeah.
all right, we'll look into that.
Okay. Any
Would
other?
we be okay with that if we had to get a bus for the?
I would be okay with it.
I would feel better.
Yeah.
why don't you just do like a vote?
Yeah, before you, I just want to say, I'm going to abstain on 332. That's my brother Joe, so I'm going to abstain. He's going to be an assistant track coach.
Okay.
What's he coaching?
Just about anything. All around. He was a decathlete at Bowling Green, so he could do everything.
So he's a floater, John, for us?
Yeah. He specializes in jumps.
No, he did this before. Didn't he do this before?
A lot of years, yeah. As
Any other
as a
Any other
volunteer.
questions? Any other questions about any other items here? No other questions, all right. So, roll call vote.
Mrs. Boyce,
Aye.
Mr. Bova,
Aye.
Mrs. Burns,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mrs. McBride,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
I, and I'm going to abstain on 332. Joe Ritter is my brother.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Let's have it. Need a motion?
The comments from
Oh.
the audience.
Any comments from the audience that's sitting there?
Online, could be online.
Online?
There aren't any of those either.
No. So,
Motion to adjourn.
need a second?
Need a second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.